Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple. It was a top-of-the-table clash in the Premier League as Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool hosted Jose Mourinho's Spurs. Both sides have emerged as early season frontrunners for the title, so the result could be crucial for the long term. In the end, the game finished 2-1 to Liverpool thanks to goals by Salah and Firmino, while Son scored the consolation for Spurs. The XG indicated that it was Spurs who created the better chances though. The XG time app, as expected, shows that Spurs had few chances, but they were of high quality. But what tactics did both managers use? Let's take a look. And if you want even more content, whilst helping to support the channel, consider checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/footballmadesimple. You'll get early access to videos, exclusive videos, as well as access to the upcoming FMS video podcast. A quick reminder of the formations used by both sides, as seen on the OneFootball app. OneFootball will get you match updates, formation updates, as well as player and team stats, and so much more. And the best part is, you can get it absolutely free through the sponsored link in the description below. Let's first look at what Liverpool looked to do with their staggering 74% possession. Liverpool could generally start short, as shown by Alisson attempting just 6 long balls throughout the 90. This was because Spurs were not interested in pressing high, with their passes per defensive action ending up at over 18. Instead, they initially sat in a mid 4-4-2 block, with Son alongside Kane, while Sissoko and Bergwijn sat wide. So, Liverpool generally came through their own third unchallenged. They generally looked to build up with a back three, and we often saw Henderson temporarily take up the right centre-back role. This gave him time and space away from the crowded centre to get his head up and look for the pass over the top to runners in behind using his expansive passing range. In fact, only Lloris attempted more than his 12 long balls. But more pertinently, his positioning allowed both Liverpool fullbacks to get high, as they love to do, meaning they often resembled a 3-2-5 during the build-up, with Mane and Salah moving into the half spaces. For the most part, Bergwijn and Ben Davies were well disciplined, staying touch-tight to their men, and Trent in particular wasn't given the room to attempt as many crosses as he usually does, as shown in the stats. But Liverpool tried to adapt to this, led by Jones and Firmino. We would often see Firmino drop into the midfield as he tends to do, which could attract the attention of a Spurs pivot. This would then free Jones to make the third man run into this region to look to get in behind the Spurs defense and receive the ball, which we saw on a few occasions. However, with both Son and Kane starting central, Spurs were dangerous on the break. Bergwijn and Sissoko are also industrious and were willing to get up and down the flanks. The space in behind Trent in particular was always a target Spurs looked for throughout the 90, and they got into several dangerous situations by looking for the ball over the top, as shown. In fact, this is how Son's goal comes about. Trent is caught higher up the pitch, having been on the attack, and there isn't sufficient cover. Son moves wide into the space and is played in, and 1 versus 1, Son is as lethal as ever. However, the left-hand side is where the majority of Liverpool's attacks came. We would often see Jones or Wijnaldum move deep to become the third centre-back, allowing Robertson to push higher. And Spurs' pivots could at times be drawn higher onto Liverpool's remaining double pivot, which temporarily created space between the lines. And both Salah and Mane were adept at utilising this, dropping in between the lines, and this could often cause problems down the left. If Aurier pushed up high, Robertson could often have the running start on his man and get into dangerous positions. This was particularly evident when Lo Celso moved to right wing, as he is less defensively disciplined than Sissoko, and let Robertson get away more than once. But if Aurier sat off of Mane, he could be found between the lines to turn and subsequently look to create. But generally, both of Spurs' wide men on the right stuck to their men, and Sissoko in particular was disciplined, practically playing as a right wing back at points throughout the match. Aurier and Mane was also a fascinating duo throughout the 90, with Aurier managing to complete a ridiculous 10 tackles in the match, whilst Mane completed 1 dribble. And again, Liverpool would look for the overload to make the difference. Once again, this was often through Jones looking to get into the half space as the extra man. But just as easily, Firmino could make the move into the wide space to try and make the difference. And generally, Spurs struggled with the midfield overload from the start, with a natural 3 vs 2 making it difficult to regain the ball, or keep the ball once they did regain it. This may be why they dropped Son and Kane so deep at times, making it look more like a 4 vs 3. However, with Firmino being willing to drop deep, that could quickly look like a 4 vs 4 once again. In addition, Liverpool maintained their width well throughout the 90, with both winger and fullback staying wide, meaning Spurs also had to keep 2 men wide on each side, potentially creating more space centrally to take advantage of. But one advantage this deep shape gave Spurs was that they could easily find Kane deep, who is usually their first reference for the transition, whilst Bergwijn and Son were making runs behind the high defence, looking to get into dangerous zones. But with only 24% possession, there isn't much to assess in what Spurs look to do in controlled possession. But overall, this was almost another perfect Mourinho performance, with low possession and high efficiency on the break. However, Liverpool rode their luck and showed champion spirit to come out on top. But what did you make of the match? What are the tactics not mentioned did you notice? And where do you think both sides will finish come the end of the season? Drop them down in the comments below. And a big thanks to all my Patreons as always, including Elias and Diallo Ibrahim, who have helped to make this video possible. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.